And now for a deeper look at all the president's flip-flops, author and columnist Rich Benjamin, a senior fellow with Demos, also Brian Darling, former aide to Senator Rand Paul, and back with us, conservative Kirsten Hoagland, host of the Sonder podcast for FaithWire News. Brian, is any of this a good thing?
Well, I love that candidate, Trump. I don't know where that guy went. I think in one sense it's just the fact that we have a president who thinks out loud. He's somebody who does his deliberations on Twitter, and we all hear about it and see it, and that's messy, and that's not something we've been used to as an American populace. But ultimately what matters is what he does. He nominated Neil Gorsuch to be in the Supreme Court. Conservatives like that. Many libertarian-minded conservatives like me had a lot of heartburn over his missile strike in Syria because they're worried that was the beginning of a potential ground war in Syria, which I don't think anybody thinks is a good idea when we'd be fighting both sides in that war. So I think there's a lot of heartburn, but ultimately, where the rubber hits the road, what the president actually does is more important than what he tweets.
Well, Kirsten, to apply that out, what he does now is not act on the currency manipulation agenda, which is what his supporters thought was part of the whole jobs thing. What he does now is not drain the swamp of Goldman executives, which wherever you come down on that issue, it was something he ran on and isn't doing. So some of this stuff has consequences, right?
Right, absolutely. And what's interesting is that for political insiders in the Republican establishment in Washington, this is all a very good thing because he sounds a lot like Jeb Bush, Chris Christie, actually Mitt Romney, more than the Donald Trump that happened, and campaigned during the election. But for those America First voters, for those, first-time Republican voters, for maybe some Democrats that came over to vote for him because he was more protectionist on trade, because he was, really giving voice to those issues that so upset that class of voters that hadn't voted him for so long and felt so forgotten. He is really, in some cases, abandoning them with some of his latest actions.
Right.
So what's going to be really interesting is to see this play out in 2018 with the midterm elections to see if that group that really came out in full force this past November will come out possibly against him. Let's hope not, but from the conservative perspective.
And Rich, Kirsten uses the word abandonment, and the question is, A, are they being abandoned in a substantial way? And then B, do they feel abandoned? Because as you know, feelings matter. You wrote a book called Whitopia, and you said you were spending time in some of the most homogenous and whitening parts of the country to really listen and learn about how they're doing. I wonder, thinking about that, and those do happen to correlate with some of Trump's support, what your view is in those communities, how they are going to perceive some of these changes.
From a quote-unquote populist sense.
From a populist sense, yeah.
Yeah. He was never with them to begin with. So my grandmother used to say this thing, when someone shows you their personality, believe them the first time.
I think that's a Maya Angelou quote.
You think that?
Yeah.
I guess many
but
people
also
say
your grandmother, sure.
Which is to say
Two wise women.
Wise women. When you look at his business career to begin with, he said a bunch of things to get elected, but now he's actually taken office. You have to look at his cabinet picks. You have to look at the budget he submitted. You have to look at the fact that he wants to repeal key parts of Dodd-Frank. This is the core of his behavior. So this is his policy, and he's abandoned his quote-unquote populist message, which never was. And so will he come back to those voters? No.
Well, they
have what they have.
Let's dig in on what you're saying, and then I want to bring back in Brian.
Yeah.
You're suggesting this isn't an abandonment of, he's learned on the job and changed his mind. You're suggesting this was always a con, that there wasn't a real interest in jobs in America?
Not in the way he pretended. In other words, what you're seeing as flip-flops, his core being has always been for rich people above poor people, for corporations above working people. And now people should not be surprised that his actual behaviors and policies are bearing that out.
Brian, how about that?
Well, if President Trump is going to follow through with this skinny budget that's going to radically cut the size and scope of the federal government, sign me up. But if he's going to morph into somebody who agrees more with Jeb Bush and many of the squishy moderates that he beat, who don't believe in those things, who don't believe in cutting government, then get me off board. I'm not going to sign up for that. But I do think ultimately, I think conservatives are going to look like a laser beam and watch exactly what this president does moving forward. They will leave him if he does not continue to be a conservative, but if he stays the course and continues with the conservative ideology and pushes conservative ideas, they will stay on board, and Republicans will be rewarded in the next election cycle.
Brian Darling and Kirsten Hagelin, thank you. Rich, we will see you a little later in the show.